we have to experience contrast. Contrast helps us get clear. Contrast is essential. Without contrast, you never get to decide. But the key to having contrast is using it to help birth clarity. So embrace contrast and observe it briefly. Matter of fact, when something does negative happen to you, we have this responsibility. And responsibility means my ability to respond. So if I get contrast, do I call all my friends and tell me how my life sucks? Or do I think, okay, the other ability is to reset this, observe it briefly, talk about what I want. There, responsibility, my ability to respond.
Michael Lozier has been an author for over 20 years. He is an expert in law of attraction. His work is so just grounded in simplicity and yet really impactful to help us understand what is contrast and how do we get out of it. So his first book, which is now celebrating 20 years, the Law of Attraction right there, 20 years of being published, was one of the first books that I read on law of attraction that really made it simple for me. We were just talking before, we pushed record, that I like to think of it as the Dick and Jane of law of attraction, because for those of you that are new to law of attraction, this will really help you understand it. And for those of you that have been aware of law of attraction for a while, it's always good to go back to basics. It's like a basketball player, they continue to do practice their free throw shots, because it's always important to know the basics. So, Michael, thank you so much for being here.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for all your compliments.
What is contrast? Because I love the way you describe contrast.
Yes, well, thank you. First, I just want to introduce ourselves to, I'm going to be using the term, our vibrational meter reader. We have one, and it goes from -0 to like 100 on the positive dial. That's me putting myself high on the dial. You're thinking, oh, do I have a vibrational meter reader? Well, let's think this. We use the word vibration, but it's really, the shorter word is vibe. So it's really a vibe meter reader. And a vibe is really your feeling. So this is really your feeling meter reader. So this is just really your feelings. That's all it is. It's your feelings. And you can tell where you're at on the dial by how you feel. Imagine that the default is 100, and anything that's lowering your dial is a negative vibe. Is it a negative thought? Is it a negative feeling? Was I smelling something I didn't like the smell of? Was I listening to something I didn't like this? Something is contaminating your overall vibration, and it's called contrast. The challenge with contrast is that we observe it for a really long time. So contrast might be, oh, you know what, I'm in business, and I thought I almost had a client, and then at the last minute, and oh, I hate when they cancel. So there's that little bit of contrast. In other words, there was a little bit of negative emotion about that experience. Now, understanding, this is you and I and everybody else, understanding that we have a vibrational bubble around us. And this bubble, guess what? It's really your vibes. These are together. So right now, even without doing it on purpose, you have a vibe. It's either negative or positive. No judgment about it, but it's either a negative or positive vibration. And law of attraction is eavesdropping on it. And it doesn't know why you have it. It doesn't know it's Michael or Christy, the two happy people on the planet. Law of attraction isn't smart. It's obedient. So when we're having contrast for legitimate reasons, we might be ticked off. That's contrast. Is law of attraction eavesdropping when we're ticked off? Yes. And while it's eavesdropping, what is it doing to the ticked off vibration? It's matching it. The entire 2-word job description for law of attraction is match vibrations. So it would make sense to us not to be keeping a negative vibe in our vibration, but then what do we do with it? You mean I have to start thinking of happy babies and happy puppies? No, that will not fix it.
I love it. it could change your focus, but if you really have something that you've been fixated on, I mean, let's just talk about it. Contrast comes in infinite ways. It could be someone says something rude to you. It could be, like you said, in business, you're at a place and then all of a sudden your business dips. It could be you have something physically wrong with your body. You're not at the weight.
Relationships, money, yes, contrast is everywhere.
And just even in those subjects, right? In relationships, there could be a gazillion things that happen within a relationship. Someone says or doesn't say or doesn't do or does, there's so many different aspects in this variety-based universe. But if we look at, like Michael's saying, something happens as contrast, we're in control of our vibes towards that contrast. Well, how do we then make it so that we're focusing on the positive, not the negative, because the law of attraction is going to respond to us either way. So,
Well,
Michael, take it away.
I wore the helper, and it's called the vibe reset button. Say yes if you love a reset button, Christy. When something
Love it.
down, we turn it upside down, we see the reset button, we reset it thinking, I don't have to figure this out. And then you press the button and the thing gurgles and it starts to work again. Well, guess what? We have the ability to reset our vibe. So let's just do a little recap. I attracted something negative. Maybe it was a date or a customer, my health or money or anything, and now I'm talking about, I'm complaining to everybody about this negative contrast that I got. And while I'm complaining, I'm giving it attention. When I give it attention, it's in my vibration. When it's in my vibration, law of attraction matches it. And now I start to attract more of that negative thing. And now I'm in the vibrational loop. How do you break the loop? This is the loop breaker. I have the ability to reset my vibe. And how do I do that? First, I'm going to give everybody freedom to get ticked off and angry and break dishes and kick and swear. As long as you do it, you can read this for me, Chrissy, as long as
you observe negatively briefly.
Now, how long is
briefly?
Well, maybe in the past, somebody would have been ticked off for 2 days over something. You know anybody like that? And now they're down to 2 hours being ticked off. Is that briefer? Yes. So instead of law of attraction eavesdropping on their vibration when they would have been ticked off for 2 days, they're doing it briefer. And now they're only doing it for 2 hours. Is law of attraction still eavesdropping when they're still ticked off for 2 hours? Yes. Is it briefer? Yes. Is it brief enough? No judgment. But what if we could really learn how to reset it? Because we've all done it before, right? We've been really ticked off. I hate when this happened. And you tell your friend, and then when you're done, you're thinking, whew, that felt better. And what you did is you reset your vibe because you had to process that anger. Now, some people write about it. Some people call their friends and say, listen, I just got to dump all the, give me a minute. Go ahead. They got you on the speakerphone and they're saying, and then he did this, and then she did this, and then the sale didn't happen. It's okay to have a little snip fit as long as you do it briefly. Now, is law of attraction eavesdropping while you're having that? Yes. So we're talking about contrast. Now, a lot of people think the goal is not to have it. Contrast is essential. Without contrast, I don't have to decide anything. Imagine going to a buffet and not knowing, like I might look at something, thinking, oh, and there might be sauces, mild, medium, and super hot. Well, what if there was no sign there and I tried the super hot one and I think, ooh, I don't like that. Well, I don't keep eating it, but I use the contrast of the super hot to ask the best question. Hey, if you're taking notes today, I want you to write this question down. So what do I want? Yes. Oh, that extra hot, that green chili one, that's way too hot. Well, I don't keep eating it. I say, so what do I want? In other words, I briefly observed the contrast of the extra spicy because I didn't know it was. I didn't complain about it and call the manager and start a blog post and talk about how that was too spicy. I reset my vibe. I observed it briefly and I said, so what do I want? And the answer was, I like a mild sauce. Oh, see how I did that? I went from what I didn't want to what I do want. See,
Yes.
when I said that I don't want something spicy, the automatic question should be, what do I want? Contrast is essential. We need it. So, maybe you're trying to buy a home. Maybe you're trying to go on a vacation. It's nice to know what you don't want. Doesn't mean you're negative. Okay, I don't want to go where it's too cold. Oh, what do you want? Imagine having that game with your family. Okay, we don't want to go where it's cold. So what do you want? Someone writes down warm. Oh, you see how we birth clarity from the brief observation? What else? Oh, I don't want to go where where they don't understand English, or we don't know another language. So what do you want? You like to go where people can understand English. Oh, isn't that so far? Here's the birthing, somewhere warm, somewhere where the kids can speak English. Oh, we like that so far. You see how the brief observation about what you don't like versus what you do like. The first time I went on a cruise ship, I didn't have a cruise ship before, so I had nothing to measure it. Oh, I did when I was done though. So here, and this is the contrast and doesn't mean I was stomping my feet. There was just things that I didn't really like, and if I could wave a magic wand, and I can, because we can, I use the contrast. So here's a couple of things that I didn't like about my cruise ship. No disrespect, but there was a lot of kids on it. I didn't know that. Not that I dislike kids, but I'm an adult male. So what was my birthing? Adults only. Oh, that felt much better. And the next one is that the dining room was scheduled timing and seating. Well, I did not like that. So what do I want? Some cruise ships, they call it freestyle dining. Eat what you want, go to the diner. See how I birthed those two things? So my ideal cruise trip is this and this and this and this. And I might go on another one if that one was at sea too long. I didn't know that. So we have to experience contrast. Contrast helps us get clear. Contrast is essential. Without contrast, you never get to decide. But the key to having contrast is using it to help birth clarity. People say, oh, the universe is teaching me a lesson. No, it's not. The universe is matching your vibration. The contrast isn't the lesson. The contrast is the feedback to get clarity. In other words, it's okay to observe what you don't like, just birth clarity briefly. And then once you go from what you don't like to what you do like, the words change. And when the words change, the vibration changes. And now you're sending this new vibration of the way you want it to be. And law of attraction doesn't know that you were complaining 5 minutes ago because it's not smart and doesn't have a memory. It's only responding to the new vibration when you birth the clarity about what you do want. So embrace contrast and observe it briefly. Matter of fact, when something does negative happen to you, we have this responsibility, and responsibility means my ability to respond. So if I get contrast, do I call all my friends and tell me how my life sucks? Or do I think, okay, the other ability is to reset this, observe it briefly, talk about what I want. There, responsibility, my ability to respond.
Love it. Love it. So you actually came up with a worksheet, and it's brilliant. And it's a process called clarity through contrast. And this is exactly what you're talking about, Michael, is doing it, on something like that, like thinking inside your head. But it's really, like Michael said, it's really when we're aware that we have a negative perspective on something, it's like allow yourself to look at all of the things that you didn't like. So everybody think about something that you have contrast in right now. It might be your physical body. Maybe you're not as thin as you'd like to be, or you have physical pain, or maybe you're wanting a relationship and you don't have one. Maybe you're wanting to sell a house and you don't have one. And I want to just share 3 examples. When I first learned about Michael and his book, I had 3 things in my life that I wanted to create, and there was a split vibration, meaning I had things I liked about it, things I didn't like about it. And I wanted to really, really get focused. So I took out the worksheet from contrast to clarity to contrast. And I wrote down all of the things that I didn't like about my current job, because I was a pharmaceutical rep. I knew I wanted to be a coach, right? So I wrote down that my time is not my own. I have to be at the office from 8 to 5, every negative that I had a boss and I had coworkers that were backbiting. I just wrote down every negative thing that I could think of, all the contrast. And then I asked myself, as Michael was saying, what do I want? Right? Show it again. So if I don't want this, what do I want? And then and a lot of times people are like, I don't know what I want. Think about what's the opposite, right? If I don't want a boss, what would be the opposite? Well, for me, it was, I want to be my own boss.
Yeah.
Right.
And some of those, they have to think about it. Well, what's the opposite of that? Because some people would never say it out loud. Even when they birth it, they might not feel that can have it. But for some people, this is the most articulate they've ever been. And they can tell by their vibe when they say, after you go through the list, you say, So my ideal job would be to work on my own and have free time, and then you're reading it and you're in vibrational harmony with it. Your vibrational meter reader's going through the roof and it's going ding, 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 ding. That's your feelings meter saying this feels good to you.
Yes.
So the clarity, even though clarity isn't a feeling, it creates one, because clarity to me is, am I clear? Does this look clear? Are my notes clear? Is my idea clear? But clarity produces a feeling, and it sounds like this. Oh, I want one of those. I want one just like that. That's so exciting. I'll have 4 of those ones. They were ideal. So the clarity that I birthed from the contrast actually placed the order. We talk about Amazon. There's a certain soap I'm really fussy for. It took me a long time to find it on Amazon. I typed in the scents and everything, and it brought something back. Now and that's what Amazon does. It makes you go through contrast. And they said, "Oh, you meant this kind of soap?" No, I didn't mean that. Well, I can't get ticked off at Amazon. And then Amazon says, "So what do you want?" And I say, "I wanted to have this kind of scent in it and this kind of scent." And then and now I get more clarity. And all of a sudden, it took like 8 searches, and I found my favorite soap in the whole world. So then I buy it. And how do you buy on Amazon? Well, first on Amazon, do you need to know what you want?
Yes.
Yeah, you can't go to Amazon and say, "Here's all the things that I don't want." This is international symbol for typing. "Here's all the things that I don't want in soap." You can't tell that to Amazon. You can't tell Amazon the things that you don't want. You got to tell Amazon. So it took a lot of contrast. It doesn't mean I was ticked off, but a little, I don't like that. A lot of contrast, I find it, and then I order, and I'm thrilled with that. And then I go back to Amazon, and you know what they say to me? "Would you like to replace that order?" That order
more of it?
that took a long time to find, and you looked for it. We know you loved it. You got it by now. Would you like to reorder it? And you know what I thought? You bet I do. I'll never look for this again. So let's talk about reordering law of attraction. This, even though it's not you or I, this is the vibrational bubble. That is the order button. And the way you reorder anything that you love in your life is you include it in your vibration. Maybe you just got home from a really super ideal date and you talk about everything you loved about the date. Maybe you just went on a really super job interview and you talked about that and you want more of it. And law of attraction doesn't know you're telling all your friends about the great date or the great interview or the great seminar you just did. Tell more about the success story that you like. And in doing so, you place the order. Law of attraction, you don't have to turn it on. It's already on. And it's waiting for the order. Matter of fact, you're ordering right now. You're ordering right now, but you can be a deliberate orderer by giving attention to the thing that you liked. And that's by getting clarity by things that you don't like.
Yes. So everybody right now.
My best friend. And I get people to embrace it and love it and say, "Oh, what can I do what can I birth from this contrast?" It's a far cry from being a victim, isn't it?
Oh, it's huge. So there's a difference between contrast and our resistance to the contrast, because if we're resisting what we don't want, then we play the victim. Well, I can't change it. I can't do anything about it. There's nothing to do. That resistance is our choice. And so contrast shows us that either I'm focused on what I don't want and I want to pivot to what I do want. So that question is just all day long. If you're asking yourself that question, well, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want? What would
people are already doing it without knowing they're doing it. When they're in their car stereo, they're finding a station. Oh, they don't know that they're saying that. "Oh, that's too loud. Oh, that's too country. Oh, what do I want?" And this is my dial. Did you know you were doing clarity through contrast in the car? And how about choosing something to eat? Ordering something. "Oh, that's too spicy. Oh, I don't like pureed food," or "I'm not a meat eater." In other words, you're using all the contrast in the menu to help birth it. Did you know you're using the clarity, the contrast to order your ideal dinner? You are.
That's true. That's true. Well, let's talk about don't not know, because I think this is an important distinction, because as I've been a coach for over 20 years now, and I'm sure you see this all the time, Michael. You say something to someone, "Well, what do you want?" And then most people go into, "Well, I don't want to gain weight, and I don't want to lose my keys, and I don't want him to leave me, and I don't want to get a divorce, and I don't want that." that's not what I asked. I asked, what do you want? We go whoop, like right back to the just set point of focusing on what we don't want, which causes a negative vibration. Whenever we're focused on what we don't want, that doesn't feel good. So talk about those 3 important words.
That's right. Well, I don't know why it's such a default for people to talk about what they don't want, but I think once you train the people around you, because that we have to do that, we have to teach people how to treat us. Very few people will call me and complain. So here's the common denominator. Are complainers using these words? Are worriers using these words? Are negative people using these words? This is always the source. Oh, I don't like this, and I don't like this, and I don't like this. I don't attract that. And if I do, I'm pretty quick to reset their vibe. And up until the work that we're doing, and make people say, well, you got to be more positive. I'm thinking, how? I don't know, right? Telling people to be more positive, think more, be more, but they never told the how to.
Yeah.
Oprah Winfrey branded me as the how-to guy.
Oh, I love it.
I'd be remiss if I didn't say that. So it's one thing to tell people to be more positive, but what if you could, you and I are trainers, what if we could train them? What if we could train their brain? And here's the brain training. You see, every time I'm complaining and talking about what I don't want or worrying, I'm using these words. Oh, I don't like when clients can't cancel. I'm not having enough of them. I don't like being rejected in an interview. I don't want to attract someone that's rude on a date, and on all the don't nots and no's. If you go to the Googler and you type in no pink elephants, what color do you think will come out?
Pink elephants.
Pink, yeah. Blue ones, because you said no pink elephants. Google strips of the way the words don't, not, and no, and brings you what you said you didn't want. After this little interview, go to the Googler and type in no pink elephants, and you'll get 9 million pink elephants, because Google isn't smart, it's obedient. And Google doesn't know whether you want it or don't want it. Google is bringing you what you gave attention to. When I say I don't want pink elephants, or no sex, or no drugs, or none of this, or no, whatever you type no in front of it, it gets stripped away. So let's think of law of attraction as vibrational Google. And then when I say, I don't want my customers to cancel, I don't want my customers to cancel, that's legit. I don't want them to cancel. But now, what am I giving attention to? I'm giving attention to cancellations. It's not, but I don't want. You keep saying cancellation. Law of attraction doesn't know anything, the words in front of it. I keep using the word cancellation, so that's my vibration. And then I get cancellations, and I say, what's going on? It's the second cancellation today. And if law of attraction had a voice, that's all we've been eavesdropping and finding in your vibration. And I'm not smart, I'm obedient, so I'm just matching your vibe. Listen, everybody, if you're attracting it, you have had to have it in your vibration. And the reason why something negative in your vibration is because of these 3 words. So here's your homework between now and the rest of your life. Every time you use the word don't, not, and no, you cannot hear my voice say, so what do I want? We're going to do a practice run. Number 1, don't forget. So what do I want?
I want to remember.
Yeah, I don't want someone that cancels. What do I want?
I want people that keep their appointments.
I don't want to be rejected at the job interview. What do I want?
I want to be acknowledged and accepted.
Here's a trick one. Don't park here. So what do I want?
Where I want to park over there.
Love it. Don't use this door. So what do you want?
What do you want?
Yeah, don't use this door.
Use this door.
Use this door. What if it had an arrow and said, use this one?
Use this door.
Listen, every sentence of the whole wide world that has the word don't, not, and no can be reframed in re-language. It takes a little time. I know with parents, when they say, don't touch the stove, they say, so what do you want? Well, in the moment, they're going to say, don't. But once you correct yourself, it becomes part of your new vocabulary. You're thinking, so, oh, keep your hands to your side. And you'll say, oh, I got that one.
Yeah.
Because it takes a while to learn. I'm using business terms here, but mom and dad said, don't spill your milk. Oh, really? Don't spill your milk. What happens? What if when the parent went to say, don't spill your milk, and said, be careful with your milk? Boy, isn't that a nice graduation?
Yes.
It's like, oh, I've graduated. I caught myself reducing the word don't, not, and no. You see, when you reduce the word don't, not, and no, you reduce negative attraction. And when you reduce negative attraction, your overall vibration is risen. The best way to become more positive is to become less negative. And one of the easy ways to become less negative is to reduce and eliminate the words don't, not, and no. And every time you use them or type them or see them, you cannot not hear my voice say, so what do you want? When I go
Yes.
from what I don't want to what I do want, the words change. And when the words change, the vibration changes. And changing your vibe changes your results.
That is the truth, 100%. That's law of attraction at its best.
Yes.
At its best. It's funny you said that about the Googler, because I said, I was thinking before you even said that, I thought, if you're going to go look for something on the internet, right? It might even be to stop doing something. It's how you put in and what your focus is that you're going to get back.
Yeah, we
Right?
don't go to Google and tell it all the things that we don't want. We're really careful. It's the most careful thing we do is ordering on Google to make sure we got the right part number and the sizes and the colors. And we're so good at ordering from Google.
Yes. So one last thing I want to talk about really quick. When we go to a restaurant, right? We don't go, I don't know, you order for me to the waiter. We don't do that. We don't go, I know you got this really great menu, but you just pick something for me.
Yeah.
Right. I think a lot of people, they think that desires or having desires or moving away from contrast and then saying, what do I want, is selfish. And a lot of people won't give themselves permission to do that. But again, we don't go into a restaurant and go, Mr. Waiter, I don't know what I want. Pick it for me. Right. There's no creative power in that. So I would love for you to speak to that.
Well, it kind of jumps another subject about, your life purpose and the importance of feeling fulfilled. And it also have to have some people need permission to do that. So, the goal is to uncover what fulfills you. Imagine knowing what fulfills you. And then when you know what fulfills you, what if you did more of it? Oh, how selfish are you? I am selfish. You know why? Selfish equals self-care. I care about my vibe so much, I'm selfish about it. What I talk to, what I listen to, what I watch, you bet I'm selfish. You're selfish. Selfish equals self-care. So number one, I protect my vibe from negative things. I'll leave a lineup in the grocery store if I see a stir going on, if I'm listening to something, watching. If my vibrational meter gets lowered, we can feel that, right? In other words, we're starting to feel negative. That no, I'm too selfish for that. So number one, I'm asking everybody to become more selfish, meaning self-care.
A healthy selfish.
A healthy self-care. And the next part of it is fulfillment. I'm going to show you the model from my book, Your Life Purpose. The target is joy. And, I have the audacity to think that everybody's purpose in life is joy. And people say, no, mine is to be a seminar leader, to be a nurse or a doctor or a plumber or a scientist. And I'm thinking, no, they're just strategies to bring you joy.
Exactly.
Because you can be different things. You can be a doctor and a nurse and a plumber and a business person.
Or a mom.
The real question is
dad.
around the outside. You have to identify what fulfills you. And when you know what fulfills you, I'll tell you what fulfills me. In my book, I have a list of fulfillment needs, and it walks you through the process. I'll tell you what mine are. You tell me. Well, first, when you asked me, I have a yardstick that says, well, I get my fulfillment needs met. And the answer is yes. Yeah, done. Yes. Oh, I decided fast. Yeah. So here's my top 4 fulfillment needs. Remember, I know what they are. I have a strategy. This is one of them to get them met. So here's fulfillment need number 1 is attention. Are you attentive? Is the audience attentive? Are they taking notes? Probably. Are they liking me? Well, probably. So I'm getting my attention needs met in a constructive way. When I was younger, I was a show off. I got them met, but not in a destructive way. So as an adult, I'm getting my attention needs met in a constructive way. My second need is influencing people in a positive way. Yeah, check. The third one is intimacy, and it means into me see. You know what we did not talk about today? Sports cars and the weather, right? That's not intimate. I want to know about goals and dreams and problems and challenges and loves and relationships and motivations, intimate conversations. And the last one's freedom. We picked a time, our schedules. I talked about, the subject, everything got met here. So when you know what fulfills you, what if you duplicate more of it? How selfish is that to get your needs met every day on purpose?
It does. It brings you joy. That's you say, so what do I want, right? What do you want? Why do you want it?
Yes.
Because ultimately, anything we want, it's because we want to feel a certain way by receiving it, by getting the man, the baby, the amount of money, the what sports car, whatever it is, whatever we want to get off the contrast, and we want to be fulfilled in our life, it's going to fulfill us in some way. At least we think it's going to. But the key is to fulfill yourself with it now. What do you want? Why do you want it? And how do you want to feel? And that all of us want to feel joyful. All of us want to feel free. All of us want to feel safe, right? These are just human things that we want to experience. And when you allow yourself to feel those, like Michael was saying, your vibe totally raises. You're focused on the good feelings, and then law of attraction brings you more things to feel good about.
It's okay to place the order. It's okay to feel good. You don't need to explain. You don't need to apologize. You don't need to explain yourself.
Justify.
Yeah.
We're here to
do it.
We're here to thrive and to feel good. And this is a really important discussion to just even kick off this summit, because once you understand what the benefit and what the positives are about contrast, and you're not pushing against it,
Yes, embrace it.
And then you can learn more about yourself. Hey, now I know. I don't want to be on a cruise ship with a lot of kids. I don't want to have to eat when they tell me to eat, right? With Michael's example, we have so many different aspects in our life. We can go, I don't prefer that. I prefer this instead. And look at whether it's pain in your body. I don't prefer to be in pain. I want to feel vital and healthy and alive. I want to feel good. I want to have flexibility. I want to have a relationship that curls my toes, where I feel connected, where there's freedom and I can have freedom of expression, where I'm allowed to be who I am, and on and you go. Focus on that and your vibe will raise, and you will see that manifesting in your life. Really beautiful.
So, in summary, talking about the value of contrast, if people can group a couple words around it, that contrast births clarity. Boy, isn't that exciting? It's like, so instead of just contrast, say, well, contrast will birth clarity. And that's a step that's moving forward. And it's a presupposition, means it's presupposing that it will, as opposed to I'm stuck in contrast. No, I'm going to birth clarity from this contrast. So
yes,
hopefully that's the message people are leaving with today.
Beautiful. Michael, thank you. You are a brilliant, gifted master teacher. So grateful for your presence on this planet, for being one of my teachers, for having this conversation, and just overall for you being on your purpose and fulfilling your needs, because you are definitely creating a huge positive influence in the world. Thank you.